What's up, fam? We're back again with Fam Matters. Yes, it is unqualified opinions from qualified professionals. Dr. Brown, you're a qualified professional.
You are also a qualified professional. It was a
We
little
try.
iffy. I mean, you present as a qualified professional. You definitely have degrees.
Yes, I do. I have degrees. Yes, and yet I can't spell that word. That's
I
that's a whole
mean,
nother
that's what
thing.
spell check is
So,
for. It's fine.
thank y'all so much for showing us love on this pod. It's Fan Matters, Faith and Mess, because we talk about faith and we talk about mess. A lot of times the two go together. Am I right, Dr. Brown?
You're exactly right. And I'm so excited about our topic for today
Hold on.
because
Before you get into that topic, hold on, because I know you are. Hold on. I'm sorry to stop you like just mid. Cause look at your.
it was rude. Do y'all hear this?
This
Do
is our
y'all
brothers
siblings
and
treat
sisters.
y'all like this?
But this
Do
is
they
our
cut
brothers
you
and
off in the
sisters.
middle of you saying something really doesn't really important to you, and
I
they can
love
see the
doing it.
excitement in your face, and they
I love
still
doing
cut
it
you
though.
off? Does that happen
I
to
love
y'all?
I
Just
love doing
wondering.
it because
Just wondering.
just that look on your face. I love doing that. Really quick.
You're a
Once
jerk.
again, thank y'all for showing us so much love. fanmatterspod@gmail.com. Then once again, fanmatterspod@gmail.com. Hit us up. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right. Fan Matters. Definitely do that. You want to do that. And don't forget to shimiggity smash that like button. It's got to happen. Once again, we appreciate all the love you've shown us on the different, ways that you have grabbed on to this podcast. And we're just really excited here. But before we get into what she wants to get into and what I want to get into too, I've got a beef with you. And I'm gonna air it out. Oh,
Oh,
that's
really?
right. That's
Okay,
oh
okay. Let's
yes,
do it.
that
Let's do
yes,
it. Let's do
yes.
it.
Really quick,
Let's
really
do
quick. I
it.
just want to say, all right, this is Fam Matters, right? We're supposed to be fam. We supposed to be fam, right? This is my little sister. This is my little sister, and
You
right,
trifling.
so yes, what she does is we're in two separate places. Okay, we're in two separate places. Y'all
We live
know
about a
I'm
2 hour
here.
drive from each other.
We're 2 hour drive from each other. All right. I'm in the
It's true.
mill, my mother-in-law's basement,
The
recording this.
mill.
But in that the mill is in Maryland. All right. You are in Richmond. But
Correct.
because Jess is so big time, y'all, she's
Okay,
sitting
here
on
we go.
panels with, I mean, literally, she's like 6 degrees removed from Martin Luther King Jr. All right. I mean, she's sitting on a panel with Otis Moss the third. So if you don't know who he is, look him up, Google him. All right. He is a renowned preacher of this day and age. All right. His
I did
father,
have a certified fangirl, or should I
yeah,
say, stand girl moment
yeah,
meeting
you
Otis
did.
Moss III. I just
You did.
wanted to
But guess
throw that
what?
out there.
Guess
And
what
you
though?
can't steal
I
my
didn't
joy
see
from
that.
that moment.
I
Mm.
didn't see that. You know why? Because I didn't know you were in town. Boom. That's what the issue I had with her. She didn't tell me she was in town. Talking to my man the next morning who knows her, right? He's like, hey,
Listen,
your sister's
first
in
of
town. And
all,
I'm like,
first
the
of all,
conversation
I
stopped.
called your friend who I
Mm.
thought was my friend before he sold me out to you,
Oh,
and
he
I let
did.
him have it
Because
because if we
that's
are
my
going to be
man's in them.
friends,
That's
he
my
can't
man's in them.
he can't be telling all my business. That's the first part.
But hold on,
I
y'all.
discussed.
Real
I've
quick,
handled that with him.
real
Second,
quick. I have to say this though. She knew she was wrong because she copped to it immediately. She copped immediately when I called her. She
but
knew
wait,
the tone of my voice and she copped to it. So I couldn't even
because
really be mad. She was
you
like,
know,
yeah, I'm sorry. Never have you heard those three words out of Jessica Brown's mouth so fast.
wait, because
What?
y'all, I called as soon as he called me. I was okay. Let me explain myself first. So
Mm-hmm.
the reason
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell you I was coming, it
Right.
honestly never even occurred to me to
Mm,
invite you to the event.
mm, mm,
Not
mm, mm.
because I didn't think you would be
Ouch.
interested, but just because I know how busy you are,
Oh, oh,
and
it
I didn't
hurts.
think you would want to like come do work stuff because it would have been work stuff on a Saturday.
I don't want to do
I
work stuff. I want to see
also
you. Yeah.
okay, here's the other thing. I was like in and out. Like I got to DC Friday evening and I left right after my panel on Saturday. So when I realized I wasn't really going to get to see you, I did not tell
Mm,
you I was
mm.
coming. That's accurate.
It hurt so bad. It
But I
hurt so
had a
bad.
reason, y'all, because I knew I wasn't gonna get to see him. right? So to me, it's like more painful to be in the same city and we know we can't see each other or be in the same area. Anyway,
So all
so
that,
I'm
all that.
driving back home
Hmm. Yeah.
and he calls me, and immediately I'm like,
Hmm.
I think I know what this is about. I
Because
didn't know
I'm
who
like,
the culprit was at the time,
because she's like,
but
hello,
I
and I'm
think
like,
I
hello,
right.
how are
His
you?
tone, he had that. He was like, "Well, hi, how are you?" I was like, "Okay, here we go."
He
So I
knew
knew
what was up.
immediately.
Yes, immediately. Yes.
I knew immediately what was going on,
I mean,
and
yeah, you
because I
did.
love my brother and I wasn't intentionally hurtful to him, I did apologize and I meant it.
Once again, though, once again, I will say this: I could not be mad because she has never copped to
Never. I
anything
don't
that
do that.
ever. Ever.
Never.
So I really think she caught because she didn't want to hear my mouth. That's really
Correct.
what it was. That's exactly
Correct.
what it was. I don't know if she was really
Correct.
sorry. She just didn't want to hear me go on and on about it.
I'll
So
say what people say. I'm
so
sorry you
go
felt
ahead.
way.
What'd you say?
I'm sorry you felt that way.
That's not an apology. That is not an apology.
I
But
understood. I understood. And yeah, I understood why you
all right.
were upset.
Okay. So speaking of being upset, right? A lot of people are upset. A lot of people are
Woo!
upset.
The
A lot of
Saints
people. A
are
lot of people. You like that
unhinged.
transition though? That was a that
That
was a
was
that
nice.
was a tough
That was
transition.
nice.
You like that, Joe? You like
We
that?
have not resolved you cutting me off earlier when I wanted to say something, but it's fine. Um, the Saints are unhinged.
I'm not a little
The
apology.
Saints are in an uproar.
They are. And why are they in an uproar, Dr. Brown?
They are in an uproar about Honk for Jesus,
Beep beep. Beep
save your
beep.
soul. They don't know what to do with themselves.
So I saw
Listen,
reactions of utter outrage, calling the movie sacrilegious. I've seen reactions of why do you
ooh,
always gotta paint the church in a negative picture? I've seen a lot of reactions from this movie. I know you have too. You've seen a lot of reactions too. What are
I've
some of
seen
the
a lot
like
of
the ones that
reactions.
made you laugh?
Um, there are many that made me laugh. So there was a oh, what to choose from. So let me just say, one of the reasons I'm so excited about this is because this movie is basically, and I said this to my brother earlier, the Faith and Mess Super Bowl. I mean, this is our time
It is.
to
It
shine.
is. It is.
So
It
I'm
is.
really
The
excited about
next few
that.
shows are probably going to have something related to this in there.
Right. I mean, it's the possibility of endless. So I think the reaction that I was sort of most intrigued by was people who are like seminary trained at multiple levels,
Mm, mm,
have a good sense of Black church culture,
mm.
and still manage to find some outrage. Like one person who shall not be named
Name them.
said, it was basically, I'm trying to figure out how to paraphrase it so people won't go back and find it, but it was basically like, is there any other major religion that gets mocked in this way? And I was like,
Oh,
all the
uh,
major religions get mocked in this
all of
way.
them. It's
And you're
low
fine
hanging
with all
fruit.
the others? It's low
Right.
hanging
It's
fruit.
low hanging
It
fruit.
was
I mean,
just so ridiculous. And people forget, number one, Jordan Peele produced this movie. What were y'all expecting?
exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
like, did y'all forget? Honk for Jesus didn't give you a clue that it was going to be satire. I mean,
You should have
so
had a clue. You should have had a
I
clue.
just feel perplexed about that. Like, I think
Mhm.
people's expectations were really
Yeah.
misplaced. And the other thing, which the Saints don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about here because we discuss mess, is that this is based on a true story.
I was thank you. You said it. I was going to say it. It is loosely based, and we're talking because it was real, right? It's
Loosely,
loosely based, loosely, but really
but
based
really.
on Eddie Long, Bishop Eddie Long, rest in
Eddie
peace.
Long with a hint of Creflo Dollar,
Yeah, definitely, definitely,
right?
definitely.
So
Yeah,
y'all, this mock outrage, but y'all wanted to clap for Creflo Dollar for just now saying
just
he
now.
was wrong about his tithing
And you shouldn't
doctrine.
have clapped for that. You shouldn't have clapped for that.
You want to
You
clap for
shouldn't
that,
clap.
but you mad at Jordan Peele for showing your dirty laundry? Come on now. I just feel like
I mean,
now both we've talked about this before, right? We talked about that for both of us, our love for the church really compels us to critique the church,
sure,
right?
we have
And
to.
so for me, it was like, I mean, yeah, this is kind of on the nose. It's absurd. It's extreme, but it's a
Exactly.
mockumentary. Like all of
Right.
that was to be expected. And beneath that layer, there was so much truth to it. Like there's
Mhm.
so much that we as the church need to reckon with. And for me, the part that's concerning is like, y'all so busy being mad that you can't see the mirror.
Like when I think about it, um, any mockumentary, right? So this is a little bit of what's that movie? Like it was so long ago. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but one of my favorite shows is The Office. So that's
Hmm.
it's a mockumentary. And when you think about just about any mockumentary you've seen, and there have been several throughout the years, I think what it really does is pinpoint humanity. It's just the different
Absolutely.
facets of humanity. So for this particular one, it takes a look at the black church and the black church experience, which of course, yes, people are upset because the black church means so much to black people. I would say that some of that importance is waning, as generations come, but it still is thought of as a bedrock, for for our black traditions. But like once again, honk for Jesus, save your soul. The title should let you know itself that this is something that is not going to be genuinely appreciative of this particular
No,
organization that you love. And what you just said though is true. I can watch this and you can watch this. And my prayer was that others can, but clearly they can't. We could watch this because we do love the church, but we also understand that with every organization, it's an ugly side. And there was a lot of
absolutely.
ugly stuff in
There
there
was a
that
lot
was
of ugly.
a lot of
And I
ugly.
think they did a good job of really showing how dangerous it is when
Yeah.
leaders
Mhm.
move away from the organizational structures we have in place to
Mm.
support, y'all,
Mhm.
y'all love, we need to do everything decency. And what is it? In decency and in order. We
Yeah,
love that, especially Baptists. Woo,
we
we wear
do.
that out.
We wear it out. Wear it out.
And part
So
of what you see, right, is this figure who, I mean, there's so much there, but there are these little hints of,
mhm.
oh yeah, we got rid of the deacons because
Right,
they
right.
weren't in line with the vision.
Yo, when he said that, I was like, "Oh, he's about to be straight ignorant." I mean, he was already proving himself to
Right.
be straight ignorant, but when he said that, I think that was a really, really good point that you just brought up. That honestly, I didn't really think about until you just said something. But right, he got rid of those things, those entities that in
The
essence
checks
should
and
be a check,
balances.
the checks and balances. So that's why he's able to do and say the craziness that he does.
Right.
Lee
Right.
Curtis Child. I want to
Lee
know where they
Curtis
got that name
Child.
from. That was a great name though.
It
Lee
was a
Curtis
great
Child.
name. It
And
was a
man,
great name.
we're really not trying to give y'all any spoilers. If you have not seen it, what we're saying is please, if
I
you
don't think that's fair to promise.
okay, all right, so then we'll say spoiler alert, maybe
Yeah,
spoiler
we
alert,
need to just put a spoiler alert on. Y'all
spoiler
don't
alert.
listen to this if you haven't seen the movie yet or
No,
you have intention to see it. Because
spoiler
I'm
alert,
not,
spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler
yeah,
alert.
I'm not finna
Abort,
measure my
abort.
words.
But actually don't abort because we want you to keep listening and hit us at fanmatterspod@gmail.com. So Jess, um
There's so
so
much.
we're going to talk about this. We want you to check out Hey Young World pod, our podcast, marriage podcast. It's going to be dropping really soon. So check it out. That's going to be about really the dynamic between husband and wife, between Lee Curtis and Trinity. That right there, it's a whole lot we can get
It's
from that.
so
So you want to
much.
hear that for sure. Hey Young World, and Young World on YouTube, Hey Young World 07, Instagram, and Gmail. But the bedroom scene, oh my god, the bedroom scene was like ah. if,
It
if
was
if
awful.
it was awful, it was like
It
if
was
you had
excruciating.
like nails on the chalkboard. It was just uh. And what I
Yeah.
want to know too, from your perspective, is the one thing I was wondering about. just about the entire time. And this very same question, right, is the question that makes one character flip, like really flip, towards the end. And
Mhm.
so, what possible fulfillment was she getting from the marriage? Because there's clear fulfillment from the stature in church. So the marriage of obviously fuels that piece. But I
But
mean,
I
at
think
that point,
the assumption that she was getting fulfillment from the marriage is not a fair one, right? Because think about the scene with her mother when they're sitting at the table eating breakfast,
mm,
which was awful, right?
mm,
But part
mm,
of what and this is, I think this is the way the church trains Black women in particular to envision marriage, but particularly first ladies, is marriage is not about your fulfillment, right?
mm,
Marriage is about honoring God. And if you're in a particular role where your husband is in a position of power, you are the helpmeet, right? And so I think a
mm,
part of what
mm,
she was trying to articulate to her mother is like, I've
mm.
done all this to
Right.
stand by this man, and what fulfillment have I gotten? Right? Like, where's the return on that investment? And her
So,
mother was basically like,
oh
what you
no,
mean?
oh my gosh. Oh, I mean,
And then the scene at the end of the scene where she's like, well, when did that stop
what?
happening with your dad, with my dad? And she
When I
says,
buried him?
when I buried him. No,
No,
that's
no,
look, I'll
no.
die alone. If
I
that's my
thought
option, I'll die alone.
I thought about you when she said
Didn't
that,
you?
'cause I did. I thought about you when she said that because my mind goes to the level of dysfunction, that exists, in these marriages, and the person that she is running to for help, you know, is no help whatsoever. And
No
just it just
help.
kind of perpetuates, that dysfunction.
And I
Um
actually think, I mean, maybe this is me being a mental health professional and I try to approach all people this way. I actually think they were really tender with Lee Curtis. Like, I didn't view him as a villain. I really didn't. But
mm,
I don't even think
mm,
it was about him being a bad man per se. It was more about
mm.
this marriage is dysfunctional, right? And so, what is the
Spoiler alert.
demand to
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
stay in something that you've tried to make work? You put in the effort, and what do you have to show for it? And I think
Mm,
toward the end of the movie, I think the thing that sends her over the edge, she realizes that she is like a tool in this larger strategy that he
mhm.
has that is more about that is less about her as a person and more about what she can do for his goals.
Hmm. So I agree with you, and then a part of me wants to move away from that, not far, because I do agree with you that they could have gone a lot harder
Yeah,
on Lee Curtis. They really could have. So
they
you're
really
right.
could have.
And in essence, you in looking at it, spoiler alert. Um, I feel like we get two. Feel like we get two very very genuine, maybe three very genuine scenes out of him. The first for me is when they're in the car with the "Nuck if you buck," which that
Yes,
was
I
hilarious. I'm
love
sorry, that
that
was just
scene. That
hilarious.
was my favorite
And
scene.
that was probably one of my favorite scenes, right? And
Yes,
it
I
shows
loved it.
their relationship, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's part of it. The second for me was when he was on the basketball court with
Mm,
old cuz. That was him. That was him. That was genuinely him. And then the third was when he's practicing for the comeback Sunday. And she's like, that scene, like, so number one, right? If you've never seen This Is Us and you've never seen anything
yes.
else Sterling K. Brown has done, All right. You are missing a phenomenal talent of our generation, period. Sterling K. Brown is an actor. All
No,
right.
yeah,
He's amazing. He's
he's
amazing.
a genius. I mean, he
He's a
really is.
genius.
He's a
So
genius.
so with that, right? I feel like I'm agreeing with you on that point because for me, it's almost like that's a redemption. So where they could have slapped him on the
Mm,
hand, they really didn't. They
no, they
didn't.
didn't.
But so this is where I want to move away a little bit. He gets the slap. He gets the slap. And for me, what I heard with the encounter with the young man, towards
Mm,
the end, what I heard
Khalil.
was in essence, like really, F you, we don't need you or your kind. And to me, that's an even bigger slap toward against or really towards us in this generation and,
Yeah,
and what we're doing. I mean, really. So it to me, it was more than just Lee Curtis. It was more
yeah,
than just
agree,
Tim Brown.
agree.
It
And
was
I
it was,
think
you know,
the
yeah.
piece I actually liked about it, I think this was totally unrealistic, but I enjoyed it, is the whole narrative that the church abandoned them
You're
is
right.
actually
That's unrealistic.
unrealistic
That's unrealistic. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one thing the saints will do is stay in support of messy pastor.
If he can preach
And he look good,
and he look good, if he can preach and he look good, and honestly speaking,
and
when the
we
Bama
need to use he pronouns here because women will be left out to dry if they're messy. But men, the
men,
folks will stay.
absolutely I yes.
Don't call names.
We know. No, I'm not. We both know of
We both
situations
know.
that has happened for. I mean, that has happened,
Absolutely.
too. So if you're even if
Absolutely.
I think part of it though, could that be just though? Could that be a statement of where we are? With Me Too, Times Up, and could that be where we are? Where the movie, in essence, is not necessarily imitating life, but it is something that it's an ideal that we want to uphold. And
Yeah,
what I
because to
mean
me,
is
the message was like, there's a consequence, right? You don't just
right,
get to wield your power
right,
all willy
right.
nilly and hurt all these people in the process, whether you intended to or not. Like, you're still accountable for how you show up in the
Mhm.
world. And so I actually appreciated that there was this tension around, will people come back, and this leading up to this big fun, like you're putting on this whole
Mhm.
show, but have you maintained the relationships? Have you atoned to the people that you harmed along the way?
No,
And when you
that's true,
don't do that, there's consequence,
and
right?
that's
I
why.
appreciate that narrative, I really do.
But and that's the thing though, it is unrealistic, right? Because
Hmm.
we know the situation that happened. What I was saying is, for a pastor, a male pastor that has slept around with women, people, yes, will by and large stay. For a male pastor that has messed with other young men, people will stay. People will still stay. We saw that, right?
We
We
saw
saw
that
there
happen.
are people that left, but for this particular one, and once again, it's in this microcosm, but for this particular one, everybody except for 5 people left. So for me, that's the ideal. That
Yeah,
if
agree.
that happens, yeah, maybe you should be out. All right, you can atone. I'm not saying there's no forgiveness, but especially for somebody that doesn't want to work on themselves, that does not cop to it, you know, that's like, hey, all y'all, all y'all are a cap. That's it. Period. I mean, something's wrong with that.
Something's wrong, and I actually like the piece. There are those scenes where you have the people on the radio basically being apologists for him, like, well, they were
Hmm.
grown men, and da da da. Like, but the power dynamic is still there. He was in a mentoring role with these young men,
Yep.
not to mention, like, you're presenting yourself as this person who's offering support, and you're taking
Mentoring them.
advantage.
Yep. That's right.
Like,
I
I
can
just
get
think
you
it's
where
really
you need to go.
right. Right. It's really trifling. And the other piece that I think we have a hard time talking about is, we know that Black churches by and large are often homophobic, right? And so when
Mhm.
people don't feel, I can't, I'm not going to go into this whole sociological soliloquy about his sexual orientation, right?
Why not?
But
I think you should though. I
because
think.
I don't know that. But here's what I
What do you
know.
mean? What are you
This
talking about?
whole this whole narrative of Black men being down low, right?
Okay.
We like to villainize that man, but what we have to reckon with is that's a consequence of being a part of homophobic systems, right? When people cannot actively express who they are and they're also dealing with this internal turmoil, one of the consequences of that is that they act things out in ways that are predatory. And what we do is conflate those things and say all this unhelpful, homophobic stuff about folks who are gay being predators or folks who are trans being predators or whatever this dumb
Right.
stuff that people say, when really it's not about their sexual orientation. It's about the fact that they're in an oppressive environment where they can't be who they are.
uh, blah. I'm 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 saying that because um yes, yeah. Um you're gonna have to cover me right now because I'm formulating what I really want to say. It's not gonna be bad.
Am
I
I
know.
going to cuss you out for it?
No, you're not gonna cuss me
Okay.
out. No. Um yeah, that exists. I guess my mind, or maybe my heart, or maybe both. I don't know. Um, just wants to say, man, just be who you are, right? That's
Yes.
but
But I mean, that's
I
easier
understand you
said than
can't.
done, right?
Huh? What'd
You
you say?
can't.
No,
I was just
yeah,
saying that's easier said
yeah,
than done,
it's
especially
easier
when
said
you're
than
in a
done.
pastoral role.
Right, right. And
And
um,
that stain is on the church. It's, I mean,
mm,
there's personal
yeah,
accountability, yes, but that stain is on the church because we've set up an oppressive environment.
we have, and I also think that now we're seeing people that are breaking out of that mold. So, but I mean, to be a mold breaker doesn't, it's not nobody's patting you on the back for that. That's hard to do. That's difficult to be the one, the outliers. That's you're not getting celebrated a lot for that. No one's going to come to you in droves because you decided to be who you were. Like, I mean, look what happened to my man that oh man, what was my man? Um oh, what was his name? He was big with like Oral Roberts and all that. Was a black guy, and then he said there was no hell. He didn't believe in
Oh,
hell,
Carlton
and he
Pearson.
got yeah, thank you, Carlton Pierce. I couldn't think of his name, and so he goes from
Oh
having
yeah,
this
he was basically
1,000 members,
excommunicated.
to
Hmm.
he was excommunicated. He did start his own church, but it's like he got 200 people there, less than 200 people there, and I mean
And
he's more
like Bishop
comfortable.
Yvette Thunder talks all the time about how people call her a heretic, right? And she's basically like, I'll be your heretic, you know, because she's like, I'm not gonna
Right.
continue to oppress myself and others just because y'all have a fundamental misunderstanding of God. I just
But how many people can say that for
right.
him, Lee Curtis, or even for people like him that achieve that status? Yeah, that's you are really jumping out there on an island by yourself
You
because
are,
not
and
only are
it's a
you
rocky
losing
road.
members, but you're also losing your marriage. And I think for him, and I think that this exists for others now. This woman is not just a showpiece. This is somebody who I have relationship with. This is a person who I love, but
Yeah,
I
she's
just
his partner,
yeah,
clearly.
he's his partner. Oh, that's what I wanted, and that's what I really wanted to get into. The idea of partner, and the fact that not a partner how kind of we have shaped the word as it is now, but a partner from kind of an old school meaning. Like that's my ace, right? That's and maybe that
Mhm.
it can still mean that, but that's who she was, right? She was
Absolutely.
his part. She was his right. That's why they could sit there in the car. She mad at him, but Nuck if you buck, come on, and then they doing their thing, and that dynamic right there is still to me amazing because that is also on the cutting block if he says this is who I am.
Yeah, right, so you
Can't
feel
win.
that tension for him of really having this impossible choice, right? I
But I
think
want
they
him to make it.
also
I
I
want
mean,
them to
I
make
want
it.
him I want him to make it too, right?
Not
Because
him, them. I want them to make it because Lee Curtis is fictional. I want them to make it so that the
them,
predatory
the
stuff you're
people,
talking about,
doesn't
ceases.
happen. Right, right. And I think the the attraction is to the status, the position. When you're talking particularly about prosperity gospel, there's just a lot of um, pomp and circumstance
Mm.
that goes along with that particular way of doing pastoral ministry, and it strokes the ego, right? And people don't want to give that up, literally or figuratively. People don't want to give that up. The other thing, speaking about this partnership piece, they were playing around with this tension between the other people of the other church being
Yes.
co-pastors.
Yes. I love that.
And
I
I
love
thought
love
that really interesting too,
those aren't
because
really.
that's another one of those things that's like real hot right now with these non-denominational churches or church plants,
Right.
is like,
And you got
no
two
matter
pastors, husband, wife
what the
pastors.
person's qualifications are, no matter they ain't been in nobody's seminary. Forgive me, y'all, for saying that. It's also true.
That's but is it, I mean, so if we're Faith and Mess, right? fammatterspod@gmail.com. fammatterspod@gmail.com. Hit us up, comment, all that good stuff. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. But we're being a little messy on that one because we're like, yo, honestly speaking, yeah. Can we just digress
All
real
these
quick?
first ladies ain't called to be
Education.
co-pastor.
Get your education. Oh,
All
oh,
all these
oh,
all these
oh,
first ladies
oh,
ain't
oh,
called to be
man.
co-pastor, y'all.
Did you just go there? Did you just do that?
It's
Did you
faith
just
and
do that?
mess, right? There's
That's
something for you.
oh,
Y'all
I
stop.
believe it though. I believe it. Stop it. Can we
Stop
stop,
doing
y'all? Just
that.
stop.
And here's
Stop.
the other thing, y'all. Was my pet peeve working in theological education. All of us are called to something in the world. All
Mm-hmm.
of us have spiritual gifting.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that all of us are called to preach. Just because you have a relationship with God, that doesn't mean you should be a preacher. Somebody has got to sit in the pew. But because we envision pastoral leadership in such a way and we
Mm-hmm.
shine the bright lights on it,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes the pinnacle that people are working toward.
Mm-hmm. So
To what end?
I love watching
Ugh.
WWE back in the day. I used to love watching, or back then it was WWF, but WWE, and then of course they have now it's on I think A&E, the Bio series where they're talking about the legends. And my favorite one so far has been the one about Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mhm.
But when you look at that, every like person who achieved that height, WWE, Steve Austin, The Rock, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, all of them, they all talk about what it feels like to be in front of 69,000 people and they're shouting your name. And they're like, that's a high that we'll never get back to. It just when
I'm
that
sure.
happens, there's something that goes to your body. And so even bring that number down, right? Let's even take it down past the number that the movie had. Let's take it to 1,000 people, just 1,000 people. Let's take it to 500. That's still 500 people that are looking at you. That everything you say, every word that that's coming out of your mouth, they are hanging on every piece of it. And then it's reinforced during the week because people are calling your name. You're that person. You're in charge. You're the woman. You're the man. And that's it. And yes, it is hell because for those of us who understand that position, for those of us who understand what comes with that position, that's something, number one, you don't run to, you're called to. And number two, you also understand that power that you have to be able to be responsible with that power. And that's part of the problem that I have with all these individuals that continue to take that power and use it. As you were talking about, they're predators, each and every single one of them. And now what we see with that co-pastor, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. I'm
Can
done.
you please share your app with the folks so they can send you a love offering for that message?
Young three, catch up, dollar sign young three. How can I
No,
put
but I
that?
think
How
you're
can I put your
exactly
banner real
right.
quick? Huh?
And I think the other thing too is like those kinds of dynamics that we see in churches are a part of what leads people to become disillusioned, because
Mhm.
it ends up, if you're really not called to that, it ends up being all fluff and no substance.
Yep.
right?
Oh
It's only so long that people can eat junk food before they go get some actual nutrition.
yeah, yeah, and the hope is that um they're getting the nutrition right, but also the periphery stuff does not get in the way,
Right.
because
It
you
doesn't
can
become
go
a
to a
distraction.
church that you're getting the word, but then you're distracted by the other nonsense that's happening, in the pew, um, in the fellowship hall, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And I think that just we have probably the most valuable time in certainly our generation to take a step back from this COVID thing and to look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's why I appreciate Honk for Jesus. I
Me
appreciate that.
too.
I appreciate the fact that you can have this movie made now, because for me, the challenge is there are young people that are going to be watching this movie, and that's what they're going to, because and they've already gotten some of that stuff about church, and they're going to probably say, man, that's why I don't go. But that's exactly why we have to put two, especially the elders. Guess what, y'all? Y'all leaving off the scene. And what y'all leaving is kind of like a mess for us that we've inherited. But guess what? We trying to do something different because it needs to be done. These young people, they're not just going to come to church just because you want them to come to church or you put a flyer out there. They are actively mad at the church, upset because they haven't been heard, or they've been denied, or people just want to talk about them. They don't really understand who they are. So I appreciate Home for Jesus for that, because it can start a dialogue that is so important that we need. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
And listen, unpopular opinion, those of us who continue to engage in the church and want to see it continue to live are responsible for actively being involved in changing this narrative. Because the content of this movie was not pulled out of nowhere. And y'all need to stop
Mm.
acting like that. Right?
The which one? I'm
We
sorry. The
are
which?
responsible. Hmm?
The which one? What'd you say?
I'm just saying the content of the movie
Oh,
wasn't
the
made
content.
up.
Oh,
It
right,
wasn't
right.
pulled out of nowhere. And so we're responsible for showing people that we are not that.
What do you think about the gripe that I saw online? I'm sorry, I did. I laughed at it. You probably laughed at it too. But what do you think about the gripe online that people were like, um, why that movie makers Hollywood always have to go after the black people and the black church, and da 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 da. Why did they have to do that? I laughed at that. What did you think about that particular piece of it? Because I mean, because we understand Hollywood will often show us in a
But I mean,
negative
that's
light.
not
I
accurate.
mean,
There was a 4-part Hillsong documentary where they ate Hillsong up.
yeah,
So,
you don't think
I
about that,
mean,
yeah.
I don't think that's true, right?
It's not.
I
No,
think
it's not.
I think we have more access to that, right? But I
Mhm.
also think a part of what people, so it's true that when one of us falls, so to speak, it represents all of us in a different way
Mhm.
because we are in a marginalized community. At the same time, it's never a bad thing to call a thing a thing, right? Like that was my whole
Mhm.
frustration with the Bill Cosby situation. Oh, he was trying to buy NBC and now they're trying to take a black man down. So they hired and fabricated over 20 stories. No, like just
Yeah, I thought so.
because
I
you,
thought they did.
no, they did not. Come on
I did.
now. That's
I think they
ridiculous.
did. It's possible. It's
That's
possible.
it's
I
absolutely
love
not.
Jello.
Y'all,
I
he's
love pudding
being a
pop.
jerk right now.
I
The
love pudding
sky's
pop.
green. What else do you have to say? It's completely ridiculous, right? And a
No
part of
pudding
a
pop.
part of what we have to deal with in the black community is we can't be better until we hold our own accountable. If we had held these fools accountable when they were running amok, we wouldn't have to see the mockumentary.
Um,
I
I
wish this
mean,
mic was cheaper so I could drop it right there. But
maybe we
and I
should
don't
just
want to
drop
mess
the
it up.
mic right there. Maybe we should just drop the mic. You know what? We're gonna drop the mic right there. I'm done. I have nothing else to say. Can you say what you said again? Can you say what you said again?
I said, if we had held these fools accountable when they were running amok, maybe there wouldn't be a mockumentary. Deal with yourself.
Fan Matters Pod at gmail.com. Fan Matters. Dr. Brown. Dr.
Dr.
Young.
Young,
Look, watch the
it's been a
movie.
wild ride. Watch the movie.
Watch the
And
movie.
y'all, email
Watch the
us,
movie.
fanmatterspod@gmail.com, and let us know your thoughts, because something in my spirit is letting me know that this ain't the last time we're going to be having a conversation about Honk for Jesus.
It's not.
Because this movie is the gift that keeps on giving.
I think that first of all, lastly, I mean, Lee Curtis said it. Jesus was about the shock factor. He was all about the shock factor. That's my favorite line, and that's kind of
What
what
a
we're trying
mess.
to do.
What a mess. Whew. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan Peele, for giving us so much, and for
Thank you,
everybody else.
Sterling K. Brown. Thank you.
Regina Hall.
Listen, Regina Hall. Can we talk about
Whew. Regina Hall.
Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall?
Ooh,
Did
they
their
were
good
great.
acting.
They were
They
great
did
together.
their good
They were great
acting in this film.
together. I'd
Wow.
say that for me, the beginning and the ending let me know that it was more about her. But that's going to be for the
I
next
can see that.
episode. So, what'd you say?
Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing you all's conversation in I Did and Still Do, really talk about the marriage dynamics piece.
Oh yeah.
Because there was so much going on there.
Ooh.
And that last scene where she's talking, woo, listen, I'm going to leave that for y'all.
Yeah.
There's so much to say there.
Check it out. And Fan Matters. It's Dr. Brown.
Dr. Young, it's
Till
been
the
another
next
great
time.
episode. Y'all, let us know what you think. And catch us next time.
Honk, honk. Let us know.
Bye.